Have you ever wished you could save all those brilliant responses from ChatGPT without the tedious task of cutting and pasting? Well, today's your lucky day because in this video, I'm going to show you a game-changing method to automate this process that saves you time and effort. So if you're all about efficiency and making the most out of your AI-powered conversations, stick around. This is one trick you won't want to miss. So what we're going to do in this tutorial is I'm going to show you how to configure a custom GPT model to set it up so that you can automatically save responses to Mem without cutting and pasting. So a custom GPT model is pretty much what it sounds like. It's a version of ChatGPT that you can build within ChatGPT that serves a specific function. In this case, this custom GPT model is going to be our daily planner. And you can use these for all sorts of purposes. And what you want to do is utilize this objective process output framework. What this does is it tells the AI language model three things. One, what is it that you're trying to accomplish, or what is it you want it to do? The process is basically what the process is to accomplish that objective. And then the output is what you want that output to be. And I found that this is actually a huge time saver in terms of getting good output from any sort of ChatGPT or AI language model. So one thing here that's optional is to have ChatGPT revise the model's instructions. And I like to do that because I think that often it gives you better instructions if you let it write the instructions. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to go into ChatGPT and say, I want to build a custom GPT based on this guideline. And I'm going to ask it to revise what we've given it. And so then what we're going to do is we're just going to cut and paste this into there. And what it will do is give you the revised instructions for the custom GPT model. So you can see here that it actually becomes a lot more extensive than the version that we had. And as a result, it's better instructions for the model because it's writing its own instructions, which is one of the cool things about these custom GPT models. So you can see here, it's actually taking the very vague version of what we created and it's making it much more detailed. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this and then we're going to create our own GPT model. And basically, we'll just call this the daily planner and we can just take this, we're going to copy and paste it. And if you go over here, you'll see here that you have options to explore more. So if you go to explore GPTs, you'll see an option in the top right-hand corner to create your own. And what we're going to do is we're going to call this daily planner. And the cool thing about this process also is that if you want, you can give it personalities, you can do all sorts of stuff with it that is actually kind of fun. And so we're just going to say, I help you plan your tasks. And we're going to go ahead and copy what we got from ChatGPT here. And so we want to remove this stuff right here because it's not relevant. And then we're going to take that last piece out and we're just put in a conversation starter that says, let's plan my tasks. This is optional, of course. So now you've got the basics done. So we're going to go ahead and save this. And you'll see here that you have an option where it says, do you want to publish this only to you or anyone with a link? And in this case, we're going to choose only me. And so in that case, this becomes your personal daily planner. So now we can say something like, let's plan my task. But before we do that, what we want to do now is the part that makes all of this come together. Okay, so now we've got the basics set up and we have to gather some essential information in order for this to work. The first is going to be your API key. And the way you get that is by going over here to add sources and clicking API and then create new API key. Now, one of the things you want to do is you want to make sure you write this API key down or copy and paste it somewhere where you're going to not have to remember what it was because you're not going to be able to see it again once you do that. So now if we go back to our demo here, you'll see here that we have an endpoint URL as well as the Mem API documentation. Now I have the code here written in Mem, but one thing I just noticed is that if I cut and paste this from Mem, it actually mangles the formatting, and I'll make the code available via file that you can download. But what you're going to want to do to use that code is use something like Sublime Text, as you can see here, just because it's made for this kind of editing. and it will make sure that the formatting isn't mangled when you do this. Otherwise, you'll start to see all sorts of errors. Now that we have all this essential information, what we want to do now is we want to go over here to our custom GPT that we've built. We want to edit it, and you'll see here that you have the option to create a new action. And I've already put in the code here that you just saw. And one really important thing here is this part. So this was one of those things that I ended up spending hours on because it was a really minor error, but I kept screwing it up. So the thing that I would recommend here, you'll see here that Mem has a very specific way that this needs to be entered. So what you want to do is copy this and then replace this with that API key, which I've already done in this case. And then you want to name your custom header authorization, and that makes sure that ChatGPT can communicate with Mem. And now what we can do is we can test this. And what you'll see here is that it is starting an action. And basically what this action is doing is it's generating a call to the Mem API. And you'll see here in a second that you get this option to either confirm or deny. And so what we're going to do is we are going to confirm, and you'll see this message that says talk to the Mem API. So you can see here that it says that it's created. You can even click on it and view it via URL. But if we go back to Mem, there is the ChatGPT response that it saved. And that in a nutshell is how you do this. There are a couple of other updates that we could make that actually make it really useful. So for example, now that we've configured everything, we could have this set up in a way to say, okay, I want to take these instructions. Can you revise them so that when I say save to Mem, you create a Mem? And that's pretty much all there is to it. And once you get this working, it's actually really useful and saves you a ton of time. It might take a little bit of trial and error, but like I said, I'll provide the code for you to download in a Dropbox link. And as always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below.